Look at the thumbnail. Note that it doesn't say Meghan Markle, Meghan Sussex, or even Meghan. It says Harry's wife. I worded things this way because I am convinced that any woman who married Prince Harry would have been terribly mistreated by that family. Don't get me wrong, much of the abuse, namely the anti-Black racism and the anti-Americanism, was unique to Meghan. However, due to multiple factors, any woman that Harry married would have been rejected by the Windsors. For the sake of simplicity, I will refer to this hypothetical every woman as Harry's wife throughout. Often don't talk about Harry's role in this. Before you click away, let me say that none of this was Harry's fault. Harry behaved admirably, defending Meghan, his actual wife, against unrelenting abuse. He shored up her mental health, advocated for her, and eventually left everything behind to protect her. No, Harry plays a role because of the position he occupied in the Windsor family. From birth, he was cast in the role of the disfavored, overlooked, and frequently scapegoated child. He stated in his memoir, Spare, that his elder brother, William, got the lion's share of everything that was up for grabs. Space, privilege, positive media coverage, even food, everything. Rules about precedence and rank were enforced upon Harry at a very young age. While his mother attempted to counteract this, Harry lost her right before his 13th birthday, and he had spent his entire childhood up until that point watching her be hounded by the media. He also saw how the institution failed to protect her. In his teens, Harry became the target of the very people who, quite literally, had chased his mother to her death. And, just like his mother, Harry received no protection. As he grew into manhood, Harry realized that certain members of the institution were jealous of him. Harry's older brother bullied him. Harry's father unequally distributed resources and failed to stop his second wife from planting stories about him in the press. They all wanted him small and easily controlled. In short, Harry served the institution, but the institution never served him. As someone who was disadvantaged within the prevailing system, Harry always had an incentive to question it, try to reform it, and ultimately to reject it. While he may not have always wanted to leave, Harry needed to leave. And people with needs have ways of getting those needs met, consciously or not. Someone with Harry's needs never could have married someone who fit in. How else would a marriage to him, someone who needed to leave, even work? He couldn't contract a marriage with another royal. Another royal would have been groomed to accept the courtly intrigues, the elaborate protocols, and the boring splendor of royal life. And a woman with royal lineage would have been respected, even embraced by the institution. Would a woman like this want or need to leave? Probably not. He couldn't choose a member of the nobility either. A noble's proximity to the crown gives them an incentive to maintain the prevailing system, no matter how crushing it is. If the noble in question sought to, quote, marry up, a royal would be an ideal choice. And aristocrats had largely stopped marrying into the Windsor family anyway, most likely because they had seen what happened to Princess Diana, the daughter of an earl. Harry also couldn't choose a socially ambitious commoner. A commoner trying to net a tiara and a title would have a strong incentive to simply endure the abuse. She wouldn't want to go anywhere either. No, Harry needed to leave, and he needed someone who would motivate him to leave. So Harry's wife, regardless of her actual background, would have to have an outsider perspective, neither royal nor noble. Someone who, for whatever reason, would view the institution and the class system that bolsters it with a healthy degree of skepticism. Someone who wouldn't be overly impressed with royal titles. Someone who had never aspired to royal life. Someone who asked questions. Someone who already had a strong sense of identity. Someone who could survive outside the royal fold. Harry's actual choice of romantic partners bear this out. His first serious romance was with Chelsea Davy, the daughter of a Zimbabwean farmer who, according to Harry, was unimpressed with his status. The second serious partner was Cressida Bonus, the untitled granddaughter of an earl. Bonus graduated with a degree in dance before pursuing an acting career, a profession still seen as vulgar by many old families. Even the, quote, older woman that Harry lost his virginity with fits this pattern. Sasha Walpole worked as a stable girl at the time of their 2001 encounter, a decidedly working-class job. As of 2023, Walpole worked as a digger operator, another decidedly working-class profession. None of these women belonged in a palace, and neither did Harry's wife. It was perhaps inevitable that Harry's wife would find herself at odds with William's wife. William, as future king, needed to stay in the royal fold and, consequently, needed someone who could stay in the fold with him. Any woman he chose would have to give up a lot to be with him, so an independent woman with lofty career aspirations was out of the question. She'd have to remain in Britain and be able to conform to British cultural norms. And, as William's wife would be a future queen consort, she is someone who would have to submit to the family's recondite etiquette and tortured protocols. Someone with conformist tendencies would be best. Enter Kate Middleton. She is British and has lived in the UK most of her life. She seemed to have no career ambitions and, aside from a few short-lived, low-level job positions, has no work history. Her family is notorious for social climbing. They had no reservations about a marriage alliance with the royals. As such, Kate Middleton was not at all inclined to challenge the system that she would eventually marry into. In short, the traits that made Kate Middleton ideal for a king-in-waiting made her grossly inappropriate for a spare who craved freedom. This would have been fine if Kate wasn't dependent on Harry, but Kate relied on Harry to do emotional labor that her husband wouldn't or couldn't do. And given the Windsors' storied chilliness toward in-laws, Harry was probably a friendly face in the crowd at family events. Kate would have resented any woman who diverted Harry's attention away from her. And, as I've said earlier, Harry, the unhappy spare who needed to leave, had to choose Kate's exact opposite in order to leave. People are conditioned to fear and even hate those who are different, and Harry's wife would be very different from Kate. Already jealous, Kate would have especially resented being compared and contrasted with Harry's wife, a woman who, by default, would be more independent and accomplished than she. And Kate would probably also resent Harry for not affirming her attractiveness and sense of superiority by seeking someone more like her. Kate never would have liked or supported Harry's wife. Camilla's motivations for abusing Harry's wife are probably the least personal of them all. She isn't Harry's mother. She has no blood ties to anyone in the Sussex household, and Camilla and Harry were never close. However, Harry was useful to her. Harry was the person she could set up in order to make herself look better. Due to the controversial nature of her marriage to Harry's father and her historically low popularity ratings, Camilla's position at court is insecure, even perilous. Her stepson in the tabloids to rehabilitate herself, and she would plant stories about Harry's wife for the exact same reason. Her participation in the media abuse of Harry's wife would be purely strategic, the slander instrumental rather than malicious. Camilla, being so disadvantaged at court, couldn't afford to align herself with a lightning rod of abuse like Harry's wife, whether she liked her or not. Camilla's fraught position requires her to align herself with power. Harry's wife, the wife of a spare, would have little. And Camilla wouldn't have the power and authority to protect Harry's wife anyway, even if she wanted to. All that said, Camilla would have done what she did to Meghan Markle to anybody Harry married. All the people involved, William probably has the least complicated motives of them all. William is a bully, plain and simple, and all bullies want is power. One of the ways bullies gain and maintain power, especially in dysfunctional families, is to keep their target deprived and dependent upon them. Harry's wife would have disrupted this process. Harry's wife would bring resources into the relationship, resources that she would share with Harry. She would have a more objective view of the family's dysfunctions and William's bad behavior. And, seeing just how poorly Harry was treated, Harry's wife would raise objections. Harry's wife would also siphon time and emotional energy away from William. Harry simply would not be as available for abuse as he had been before marriage. William is also pathologically jealous of Harry. There are two things a pathologically jealous person won't tolerate: someone else having things they don't have, and someone else having things they do have. As I said previously, Harry's wife had to be Kate Middleton's antithesis. William resents this, as Harry's wife, Kate's antithesis, most likely wouldn't have wanted to marry him. And before Harry got married, William carved out a media image as a respectable husband and father, an image frequently contrasted to Harry's image as a hard-partying confirmed bachelor. Harry having his own wife and children would invite negative comparisons. William didn't want his brother married, to anyone, period. King Charles has shown himself to be weak, selfish, and unprincipled. He is also woefully immature due to a less than ideal upbringing. Being simultaneously overindulged and ignored by his parents damaged Charles. His maternal grandmother repeatedly stressed that he would be a king someday, favoring him over his younger siblings. Servants fawned over him. Receiving this type of treatment turned Charles into a narcissist. Narcissists view everything as a zero-sum game. They believe that if someone else has love, attention, respect, etc., then there is less, or maybe nothing at all, for them. Narcissists also have a strong sense of superiority and an excessively strong need for attention and admiration. They view life as a never-ending competition. Thing is, Charles lacks the good looks, charm, and charisma necessary to command a spotlight on his own. Nor does he have the rough edges and complexity that would make him more compelling. He is dull, and he knows it. This unquenchable need to be the center of attention, but the inability to attract it on his own, puts Charles into an untenable position. He needs the very people he competes with for attention to get attention. This is why Charles's abuse of his daughter-in-law was an inevitability. As I said previously, Harry was destined to marry an accomplished and challenging woman, exactly the type of woman who could effortlessly upstage an insecure king. Charles would exploit such a dynamic woman to attract a spotlight, but he would knock her down a peg or two if she didn't vacate it fast enough for him. Charles would sabotage her, then harshly criticize her for not living up to his expectations. Charles's pattern of behavior toward Meghan Markle is proof of this. He expected Meghan to give up her career to work for the family, but refused to financially support her. Charles and his family planted negative stories about Meghan in the press, but withheld protection when she experienced backlash. Charles would have treated Harry's hypothetical wife no better. There are many other factors that would have led up to Harry's wife's abuse. Given rules about rank and precedence, Harry's wife pushed several other royal women down in the pecking order. Remember, Harry's wife would be an outsider without an elite pedigree. These more senior, better-born women would resent their change in status. Another factor, the Andrew scandal. We now know just how close and long-standing Andrew's ties to the island guy were. We also know the British royal family was determined to shield Andrew, Queen Elizabeth's favorite child, from further scandal. An attractive newcomer who doesn't quite fit in, a newcomer married to an already scapegoated family member, would be an ideal person to use as a distraction. Yet another factor, persistent rumors of Prince William's infidelity. The Windsors, still scarred from Charles's scandalous extramarital affair in the 90s, didn't want yet another heir to the throne plastered all over the tabloids with a mistress. Harry and his wife would give gossip mongers another couple to talk about. Real-life events bolster this theory. The 2024 disappearance of Kate Middleton added to the speculation. January's helicopter handoff of Prince George and Princess Charlotte reignited rumors of marital trouble. Subsequent public outings by the Prince and Princess of Wales have only made the tension between them even more obvious. No one paid much attention to William and Kate's marriage while Harry and Meghan still served the institution. Increasing right-wing and reactionary sentiment around the world also would have played a role in the abuse of Harry's wife. As I've said several times, Harry's wife would have been an independent outsider who asked questions and challenged people. Even if Harry's wife didn't self-identify as a feminist as Meghan Markle does, she still would have provoked the ire of reactionaries who expect women to silently tolerate disrespect and to adopt a more subservient posture in public. The public, facing a cost of living crisis, is becoming increasingly aware of just how expensive the British royals are, too. It is becoming harder to justify the monarchy's existence. The besieged Windsors would need to manipulate the public to focus its attention on someone else in the family. Harry and his wife would be the lowest-ranking senior royals, just high enough on the hierarchy to attract sustained media interest, but far enough away from power to not be able to protect themselves. This fact made Harry's wife an even more attractive target. In conclusion, the belief that the turmoil of the last 8 years would have been avoided if Harry had simply married someone else is absurd. While certain plot points in the script would have been different, the characters in this drama would have recited most of the same lines, utilized the same beats, and played to the same audience regardless of the lead actress's identity.